So today we're going to briefly go over choking and kind of what to do in the event of an emergency. Say if one of your table mates starts choking on a hot dog. And then what we're going to do after, we'll offer you guys, I guess there was some interest last time about like one-on-one CPR questions or choking questions, how to use this thing called the AED, and I'll be in the back room, so if anybody, I know it's kind of, can be anxious doing this in front of a big group, so if anyone wants to come and ask me questions in person or go over anything like that, I'd be more than happy to facilitate for that, for you guys. My name's Nick. I've met a lot of you. I've been to some of your homes and replacing batteries and whatnot, your smoke detectors. This is my lovely assistant, Jack. Jack's going to help me today. We're going to just do a couple quick demonstrations. I'm going to give Jack the Heimlich maneuver. Has anyone heard of the Heimlich maneuver? Show of hands. Yeah. So I'm sure throughout your life, I'm sure you've probably been taught this more than once or twice. But it's a good refresher, right? So can anybody tell me what the universal sign is for choking? Yeah, well, what does someone do if they're choking? What do you think? They go like this. Yep, they grab. So that's what we call the universal sign for choking. So if you see someone doing that, chances are they're probably choking on a piece of food or a piece of candy. Now, we're going to go over two aspects, children and adults and infants, because there's two separate ways that we will want to clear their airway, so to say. So say, my lovely assistant Jack, we'll call him Vanna for today. Vanna's choking, so do the sign for choking. So what you're going to do is you're going to safely go, are you choking? They're going to look at you. And then from there, if this is an adult, you're going to come from behind, go around, join your fist, or your left hand with your right wrist, go right underneath the ribs, kind of where the ribs meet the abdomen. And what you're going to do is, this is called the Heimlich maneuver. You're going to do, it's a nice thrust up like that. So it's going to go right under the ribs, and you're going to thrust up nice and forcefully, or as forcefully as you can. What that does is that muscle that we have that makes our lungs go big and small, called the diaphragm, it contracts, it makes our lungs, the last amount of air in our lungs, expel out. So theoretically, whatever piece that is that's stuck in our trachea or our windpipe will expel out, and sometimes it will shoot out. Like if it's a hot dog, it might go a couple feet. So again, just to go over, we'll go over with the mannequin. As you see the bottom of the rib cage on each side. We're going to go right underneath, join our fists together, and push up and in. Nice and forceful. Now, does anyone know what to do if this is not working? Say if the person goes unresponsive. Yeah, so what we're going to do is, say in the middle of us giving compressions, the person goes unresponsive. We're going to the best of our ability, just kind of go with me, lay them down on the ground, nice and safely, right on their back, and then we're going to, the last class we had was CPR. Then we're going to start CPR manual compressions. Okay? So, and we can go over that in the back if anyone has any questions on CPR and whatnot. So with the new CPR guidelines, we're going to start compressions right away. 15 compressions to 2 breaths. And then we're going to call for help and have someone fetch one of these. You guys know what this is? I'm sure you do. No, this is the AED, or Automatic External Defibrillator. So what this does, and if you guys ever have to use it, after you call 911, and while the other partner is doing CPR, we're going to hitch this up to a person. Now, this is your AED for the senior center, and this is located over on that shelf behind the bingo counter. And what you do is you grab it. It's like this. It's kind of like a purse. Not really fashionable, but you open it up. Now you're going to see these. Usually in every AED pack, there's 2 sets of pads. One for adult and one for pediatrics. So if they're under, I believe, I want to say if they're under 4 years of age or 3 years of age, we use the pediatric pads. If they're over, what it does is it adjusts the dose of electricity. But it has signs on it. You'll see one will have a baby, one will have an adult. It makes it very easy. So all you have to do is look at it. If it's for an adult, one of us, adult pads. If it's for a baby, baby pads. So what we do is we turn on our monitor by pressing it open, and it's going to say a bunch of stuff.
Call for help now.
Call for help now.
Remove clothing from chest.
So in order to facilitate the defibrillation of the shock, obviously we need to put those pads right on the bare chest. So if it was a friend of ours, we'd lift their shirt off or try to take their shirt off.
Pull red handle to open bag.
See, it tells you everything what to do.
Peel each pad off blue plastic.
You peel this open.
And apply pads to exposed chest.
Now what falls out is these two pads. I'm not going to open up good pads, but you'll see the pads, and they have pictures of people on them.
Remove clothing from chest.
Let's put her on hold for a second. So one pad, you'll see in the picture, is going to go in the right upper side of the chest. And the second pad is going to go right below here. So what this does is the electricity enters in, and it goes right across the heart. So the heart starts at the top, the beats usually, and it goes right through the bottom and out through this pad. And what that is the electricity will theoretically reset the electrical signals in your heart, and hopefully get your heart beating again, if it has to come to this. Usually this will happen if someone's not breathing. Obviously, once you stop breathing for a long time, then you're in respiratory failure, and then you'll go into heart failure due to that respiratory failure, whether you have a hot dog or a piece of candy stuck in your throat. So again, I'll be in back with this stuff, going over this, how this works, and whatnot on the dummy and the mannequin. So like I said again, two sides of pads, they plug right into here. Once you plug them in, it's going to walk you through it. It says, plug them in and see if it
Call for help now.
So once you plug in the pads,
remove clothing from
it's
chest.
going to say remove clothing from chest, blah, 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 place pads on, and then it's going to say analyzing. And what it does, it automatically analyzes the person's heart rhythm, and then depending on
red
that,
handle to open
it
bag.
will shock accordingly.
Peel
Now,
each
when you
pad
shock, you
off
have to press the button.
blue
Make sure everyone's clear of the patient
and
or the
apply
person.
pads to
Because
exposed chest.
you don't want to get shocked, right? Unless you want to be the victim too. So like I said, this is more of a choking demonstration, but I figured I'd touch upon that. Okay, so let's picture, we'll call this Fred. We'll picture Fred's a baby, so about half the size. So babies are a little different. When babies are choking, you don't give them the Heimlich maneuver because number one, they're so little and they're delicate, right? I'm sure all of you have children and grandchildren. What you do is, picture this a lot smaller of a child, is you put the baby like this, put your hand over its face like that, cupping its face, making sure you're holding on to this baby. And what you're going to do is you're going to give 3 back blows in succession. Take a break, check to see if the baby's airway is clear. 3 more. Now you can be rather forceful with this. Obviously don't injure the child or knock it out of your hands. But these 3, what we call back blows for a child, will help clear the airway. And in the I can't even talk tonight. The unfortunate event that your child does go responsive, we would do the same thing like we would do on an adult and immediately start CPR and call 911. Okay? Does anyone have any questions? I know it's a very exciting topic. Raise your hands, who's going to choke on a hot dog tonight? No? All right, so what I'll be, I think we're almost ready to eat. We're going to get stuff going. I'll be in back if anybody has any questions or wants to see how to set this up or how to put the pads on or anything. So any questions about anything in general? Fantastic. Yeah. So the boss says I'll be in the conference room if anybody has any questions, okay? All right. So it was wonderful seeing you guys. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out. And let's have some hot dogs.
You're saying the young people, what about you're all by yourself at home?
So if you yourself start choking, so my advice to you is, because everything is about fast response, immediately call 911. Now, because most of you have landlines, some of you have cell phones, they'll be able to pick up your location on your landline from where you're calling and will immediately dispatch an ambulance. So we have a little bit more advanced things that we do on the ambulance side of things, as far as being able to physically look down your airway and use certain tools that we use to pick objects right out.
if you're by yourself and you can't get to a phone, you saw Nick just demonstrate the Heimlich maneuver. You can take a chair and drape yourself over the chair so that it knocks the wind out. You fall onto the back of the chair, and hopefully that will dislodge the
So it's very tricky, yeah. That's one of those things you have to be very careful with. But yes, immediately call 911. Even if you have a suspect or a question that you may have something partially stuck in your airway, you know, we're only a call away and right down the street.
What if you can't reach your phone?
Well, if you can't reach your phone and you're choking, your prognosis is somewhat grim, I think.
No, but I mean, I have phones in all my rooms.
Do you have a life alert?
No.
I know some.
That's what I mean, if I
Yeah.
fall in the middle of the hallway,
Mhm.
how am I gonna reach the phone?
That's a good point, and that's a great question, because and this is a sensitive topic, because getting older, you have to make considerations as far as incidents like that, and we deal with a lot of stuff like that, where people fall, and they're on the floor for hours, sometimes days on end, because they can't get to help with the phone. Now, my biggest recommendation is, Life Alert's a brand name company, but any type of thing like that, medical alert, they have bracelets and tags, and you can press that usually from any point in your home and or around your yard, and that will connect to your Life Alert system, and then that will have them notify us. I recommend anyone getting those, whether you have lack of mobility or you're a 70-year-old Olympic athlete. It's still a good thing to have. You know, and that's a good option to have, and I would highly recommend anyone that need any information about that either reach out to myself or Patrice, and we could point you in the right direction.
There was a gentleman that was here last spring that was talking about, it wasn't the Life Alert brand, but it was something where you can either wear it on your wrist or you wear it on a necklace, and if you fall, you just press the button and it calls the fire department, calls
Yeah.
Call someone else and
Yeah, usually it
That's
calls
what
the
happens.
company, like they have a
Calls the
dispatch
company and they call the
service,
fire.
and then they'll call us. You know, usually it takes about a minute or two before them to, you know, transfer all the calls over and whatnot and get a hold of us.
But I accidentally did it.
Yeah.
And I think I got the town here.
Yeah, on occasion you will. Sometimes accidentally you'll hit it. I don't know if anybody besides yourself has one in here, but it's a good idea to often test those once a month.
Yeah.
It's very easy to just press it, and they'll get on the line, and you can say, just testing, just to make sure everything works correctly. But I would say that would be the easiest way if you're alone and you don't have a phone and you can't get a hold of anybody to get help. Now, obviously, if you don't have that option now, because some of you don't, you have to do the best you can to try to get some type of help, whether that's, you know, alerting a neighbor or a friend or something to the effect of that. Because if you don't, and you're choking and you're alone and you don't have any way to contact anybody, you know, let's be realistic. Your prognosis is rather grim. You know, so I guess that would be my recommendation. Does anyone else have any general questions? None? Lively group today. You must be excited for bingo. All right, so I'll be back if anybody wants to check out the AED or choking or practice CPR or anything like that, okay? And I'll be around. We're going to be eating lunch with you guys today and sticking around for probably the next hour or so, depending if we don't have any calls. Okay? All right. Thank you so much.